My husband Rajkumari, we're the homeowners here. For governor.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. He was getting a lot of
All
time.
the amazing volunteers.
Thank you.
Arlington Superintendent has rocked this. And we really believe in Tom. Well, we believe in him, one, because he's a good person. He follows his beliefs. He does things even though he knows it's going to be difficult for him in the long run. And we think that now more than ever, we need a leader in the state of Virginia who cares about everyone and will fight for everyone. Which is why we're supporting Tom. We're so excited to be working with all of you. Really happy to introduce Tom and Jon Lovett.
I know this guy needs no introduction because most of you are wearing his t-shirts. But he really is an amazing public servant. He wears a lot of different hats. He's obviously been a writer and a producer, but he really has found a way to be at the intersection of, I think, three things I care about, which is politics and public service, public intellectualism, and entertainment. And I think when we drop one of those balls, we lose the ability to reach a lot of people. And I think, we would not have the ACA without the ability to communicate in the 2008 election. The ability to getting reelected in 12 affected so many things, from equality to DAPA and DACA to issues on climate that are, of course, all torn up now, but still, don't let that undermine how excited we are about you being here. Really, most of you have heard from me. I might have a few remarks afterwards, but I know you came to hear this guy, so please give a nice warm welcome to Jon Lovett.
Coming out. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so happy to support this campaign. I was thinking about why this matters to me, why I want to. I don't go to campuses. I think there's a lot of people that are participating in getting active in ways they hadn't before, and I'm one of those people. To be honest, the day of the election, I decided, and as did John Favreau and Tommy Vitor and I were like, we want to get in the fight. We want to do something different. And there's a lot of people that feel that way. And there's a lot of different ways you can make a difference. You can get out your canvas, you can run for office, start a podcast. I don't know. We need people that are willing to fight for what they believe in. And the thing that makes me most excited to be standing here is, there were a lot of people who didn't have the guts to vote for the Affordable Care Act. There were a lot of people that didn't have the guts to vote for a climate bill. But Tom Perriello did the right thing. And more than that, there are a lot of good Democrats who've been around for a very long time, and they fought a lot of fights. Those fights leave their marks, and there's a lot of people that I like and I support and I want to get behind, but they're beholden to a lot of the fights of the past. That after so many years of attacks and onslaughts and all the rest, they kind of don't sound like regular human beings anymore. And we need people that don't care what it sounds like. They aren't worried about saying the exact cold-tested thing. That know who they are and know what they're fighting for. And I think Tom Perriello is one of those people. This is a really dark time. It is, and we saw this week that President Trump did this incredibly restrictive thing of pulling us out of Paris, which is going to hurt the people of this country. It's going to hurt companies that are doing good work with clean energy. It's going to put us behind other places that are going to get the jobs and get the innovation. But what we need are people that are going to fight for clean energy jobs, and they're going to fight for working people in this country, in the governorships, in the local offices, in the cities, and that's why this race matters. That's why it's so important that people are coming out. And if there's one good thing that comes out of the fact that we're in a really dark time in our politics, that I think a lot of people here that wouldn't have been here a year ago, wouldn't have been here 2 years ago, but you're here now. And I think the fights to put people in office that speak to our values, that care about what we care about, that sound like normal human beings, that can take this fight and then go on offense and start to take this country back. I think that's what this race is about, and that's why we're excited to be here, and that's why I'm excited to support this campaign.
me before, and it's really hot out here. So I'm not going to say too much. I just really want to thank you, first of all, for putting us in this position right now where 9 days out from this election, we have a great chance to win this nomination. I'm proud of how we've done it. We've done it as a grassroots campaign with people like you. We've done over 350 public events this year. We've done town hall meetings. We've encouraged people to cover them on Facebook Live, reached hundreds of thousands of folks that way. And if you look at the recent polling, and we know to take polls with a grain of salt, it's not that we're ahead in the polls, though we're excited about that. It's who we're winning. We're winning the people who have not shown up in state elections before. John and the Obama team built a coalition that we had never seen in American political history. And then it disappears in state elections. But if you look at who our campaign is reaching right now, we are doing incredibly well with young voters, voters of color, and rural voters who don't normally give Democrats much chance in state elections. We have to change that. And we're changing that with what we call, for lack of a better term, and I will take one from John if he can come up with something clever, our walk and chew gum strategy, which is that we have to be able to do two things at once. We have to be absolutely fearless and fierce in resisting Trump's agenda of hate and bigotry in our community. I wasn't just the first candidate out at Dulles Airport. I thought it was really important to also go back the next night and to be present out in Richmond when the Fourth Circuit was hearing the case. We need to not just show up the first time we hear terrible news. We have to refuse to let hate be normalized and make sure we continue to resist day in and day out when the most vulnerable of our brothers and sisters in our communities are under attack. And we will do that in this campaign, and I will do that as governor. But we also need to stand for a positive agenda of economic opportunity that leaves no race or region behind. Because the fact is there is a lot of pain in our communities. That includes communities of color that still face structural and overt racism on a daily basis. But it's also true in Appalachia and areas where 3 Virginians die every day from the opioid epidemic, where we have seen massive job loss, but could turn an economy of extraction into an economy of restoration in some of the most beautiful parts of Virginia. What we're doing right now is bigger than just a governor's race. This is about redefining the political landscape of Virginia in the spirit of hope and change that we all believed a few years ago, got shaken, and now we have to believe again. And we have to understand that for too many in Virginia, a cycle of opportunity has become a cycle of debt. When the average level of student debt in Virginia is $35,000 a person, that is just not something that is giving people a pathway into the American dream. And that's why we're the first campaign in the history of Virginia to offer 2 years of free community college, trade school, or apprenticeship programs. I have a whole spiel about monopolies and automation destroying jobs.
The monopoly stuff is very good.
Yes, thank you very much.
Not a lot of people talking about it. He's the first on that.
But I will give one example of this now because I think it's fitting on this day, which is that the answer to some of our problems right now is beer. Now, that is not just because this president drives us to drink, though that's very 15 years ago, 96% of all beer drunk in America was made by 2 companies. Now you've seen this explosion of microbrews across the country and across Virginia. And it has totally decimated big beer, so now they only control 85% of all beer in America. We're not taking on big beer. We're just creating an 11% space for localized production. If we did nothing else but create 11% local food production, local ag production, and local energy production, we would revolutionize the poorest parts of Virginia, and we would save our climate. And I will tell you this about the Paris deal. If Donald Trump is too weak to keep America strong, it's states that are going to fill the gap, and we're going to do it right here. Before everyone melts away, I would just give you my plea for the next 9 days, which is to do nothing else but work on this campaign. We have all the momentum in our direction, but the voters that we need to get across the finish line are the ones that don't always vote in primary. So we need those touches. We need those door knocks. We need those phone calls. We need you to go home and post on Facebook or Twitter or whatever else. If there's one thing that's changed from 10 years ago when I ran, Facebook was how you reach young voters. Now Facebook's how you reach older voters. Whatever you people do, podcasts and the rest. But reach people because it's a really, really big deal. People still don't know the date of June 13th. They may be going to the beach that week. We need them to vote early. So every touch right now is exponential in its effect. And while we're focused on what it means to recreate that promise in Virginia, the fact is there are national implications of this race. If we see a primary electorate in Virginia on the 13th, that's what we usually see in Virginia, small, whiter, affluent, then a lot of people on the other side of Potomac and the White House and Republicans in Congress are going to say, oh, they know how to march, but they don't know how to vote. If, on the other hand, we see a wave on the 13th of a primary electorate that looks like all of Virginia, it is not just going to change the landscape in Virginia, it's going to create waves across the Potomac. And some of those folks are going to start wondering whether they want to distance themselves a little from the hate and frankly the incompetence of the Trump administration. So we have a chance right here in Virginia to set a very new course. It starts on June 13th, and we're going to look back 10 years from now. And we're either going to see Trump's election as the beginning of the unraveling of everything we hold dear, our values, our Constitution, or we're going to see it as the last gasp of a dying racist ideology. And I believe that choice for all of us begins on whether people show up June 13th. I hope you'll do everything you can to bring people out. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for People are going to want to take pictures with him.